What's up, bookworms? This is Dani Reads, and today I'm going to be doing my March, April, and May wrap up since I was not here for those 3 months. In those 3 months, I read a total of 20 books, so I'm not going to talk a lot about them. I'll just let you know what I read, what my star rating was, if I have a little thing to say about it, and we'll move on because I don't want this video to be forever. So let's just get into it. The first book that I finished in the month of March, I read mostly through February, is Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. I gave this a total of 4 stars. I didn't give it 5 because it's just so long and I felt it was so daunting to read it. I really enjoyed the story. I watched the TV show and they film the TV show so close to how the book is written that I felt like it was pretty much just reminding me what had already happened in the show. So I will not be continuing with this series, even though I really did like it. I just feel like the books are a little too big for me and it would take me forever to read them, and I just don't want to like discourage myself from reading. So maybe in the way future, but for right now I'm just going to stick to the TV show. The next book that I read in March is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. 5 out of 5 stars. It was incredible. I loved it. I listened to it on audiobook and I felt like that added so much to the entertainment of it. I don't know if I would have liked it as much reading it without listening to it, but yeah, probably one of my favorite books of all time, to be honest. I just fell in love with the characters, fell in love with the plot. Yeah. So, and I will link all of the descriptions of these books down below so you guys can find out what they're about. I just don't want to get into it because it's going to take forever. The next book that I finished in the month of March was The Serpent King. I can't remember who it was by, but I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. It was honestly a 2.5 star book for me until about the last like quarter of it. Then everything exploded. It made me feel all the feels and it just brought that rating up to a 4 because it was just, the ending was so good, but the whole beginning of it was just, it was not good. Like, I wasn't even gonna finish it, and then I got to that one part and I'm really glad that I continued on with it. The next book that I finished in the month of March was The Spindlers by Lauren Oliver. I rated this 3 out of 5 stars. I think it was just a little too young for me. I feel like if I read it when I was younger, I think I would have liked it a lot more, but since I read it when I did, it just didn't keep me captivated. It was more like I was already halfway through and I just need to finish it. So that's what I did. So yeah, 3 out of 5 stars for The Spindlers. The next book I read was Harriet the Spy by, I don't know, the author's name down at the bottom. I rated it 3 out of 5 stars. Again, I had a really hard time comparing the movie to the book, and which is really weird because it's usually the other way around where like I don't like the movie because the book was so good, but I felt that the movie was so good that I don't know, I just didn't fall in love with the book. And the way it happened in the book, I like that they changed it in the movie. It made the story flow a lot better and it actually worked a lot better as a movie than a book, I feel like. So that's why I only gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I gave it a high rating only because I enjoyed the movie so much, and the plot of, you know, an elementary school spy is just, it's cute. The next book that I read in the month of March and absolutely made me fall more in love with this actor is Scrappy Little Nobody by Anna Kendrick. I already love Anna Kendrick. I think she's so great, but this book kind of solidified my love for her. 5 out of 5 stars. Just a memoir of her life and how she got to where she is in acting. I listened to the audiobook and I love listening to memoirs because the author, obviously the one who wrote it, usually reads it. So Anna Kendrick did a really good job with the audiobook, so I really enjoyed it. I would have enjoyed it just as much if I read it, but 5 out of 5 stars. If you haven't read it, go pick it up. The next book that I completed in the month of March is Wishful Drinking by Carrie Fisher. Picked this book up right after Carrie had passed away. Read this book. I actually listened to it on audiobook, which is kind of a good thing I did. I only rated it a 3 out of 5 stars. for the fact that I feel like it was just learning about her life and her being in the drug scene and all that stuff was like a little too intense for me. This is really ruining my white balance. All right, sorry, Carrie. So yeah, I don't know, I just couldn't get into it. I think it was just a little too much. And it was just very like Carrie Fisher, to the point kind of thing, with talking about how like her struggle with drugs and in and out of like psych things and all that stuff. It was interesting to kind of get a different perspective from her life, because obviously I only knew her as Princess Leia from Star Wars. I didn't really know anything else about her. It was interesting, but just not my cup of tea. So yeah, that's why I only gave it 3 out of 5 stars. The next book that I finished in the month of March was The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. I have a copy of it somewhere, but I can't find it. Of course, the one time that I need it, I can't find it anywhere. I rated this book a 2 out of 5 stars. Honestly, if I wasn't listening to it on audiobook, I probably wouldn't have finished it. So I thought the book was really predictable, and I kind of saw the ending coming, and once they like the mystery was solved, like with the thriller on like what was happening, and then it kept going, I was just like over it by that point. So didn't like it. I'm definitely more of a Gillian Flynn fan. I think that's the problem with me reading Paula Hawkins, is that I was comparing her to Gillian Flynn, which is not always the best thing to do, but I did it, and I just didn't enjoy The Girl on the Train. So sorry for all of you out there who liked it. It was not for me. And I love thriller novels, like when they like mess with your mind. Psychological thrillers are awesome, but that just, it didn't trick me in any way to think one thing to then something else happen. So that's why it has such a low rating. Sorry if anyone's offended, but that's how I feel. Let's just move on to the next book. The next book that I read in the month of March is Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand. I enjoyed this book. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars, I think. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. The only reason why I gave it such a lower rating is because it was just so long. It was just like, I felt like the story was really drawn out for what it was. And yeah, so this is about a guy who gets stranded on a boat during one of the wars, World War II, and then gets picked up and put into a concentration camp in somewhere in Asia. And then it's just like it's like the details of what he went through, almost like day to day, what he went through to like get through it and survive it and all that stuff. So it was really interesting, just really drawn out. I feel like she could have got the point across with like a lot less words. So yeah, 3 out of 5 stars. If you're interested in something like this where it's a true story about someone from World War II, it's actually really interesting. I just thought it was a little bit long. And the last, but certainly not least, of the books that I read in March is Talking as Fast as I Can by Lauren Graham. Obviously I rated this a 5 out of 5 stars. I love Lauren Graham. I'm obsessed with Gilmore Girls. Lauren Graham can do no wrong. Let me just tell you that. So I listened to this on audiobook as well, and I loved it. It was really great. I found it really interesting to learn more about her life before Gilmore Girls, and then after Gilmore Girls, and then during the break, and then during the revival. It was just great. If you love Lauren Graham, love Gilmore Girls, anything like that, you need to read this book because it's great. It's really great. Cannot recommend highly enough. Again, 5 out of 5 stars. So that was all I read in the month of March. Let's move on to the month of April. The first book that I finished in the month of April was An Ember in the Ashes by insert author name here. I can't remember. I know that people talk about it all the time. I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars. It definitely kept my attention. I felt like it was a little bit slow, and I was a little bit confused with the world building at the beginning of the book, so that's why I didn't rate it 5 out of 5 stars, because it took me a second to kind of catch up to what was going on. Other than that, I thought it was really great. That's all I really have to say about it. So let's just move on to the next book. The next book that I finished in the month of April was The Selection by Kiera Cass, 4 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed this way more than I expected to. As soon as I finished it, I was like, now I kind of understand why people call it their guilty pleasure, because there's so many problems with the writing, but you can't help but want to continue this series. So I was kind of mad at myself because I didn't have the next book available to like listen to on audiobook, so I had to kind of just like stew on this for a little bit. But yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. It got me. I was hooked. The next book that I finished in the month of April was Unsinkable by Debbie Reynolds. I rated this a 3 out of 5 stars. I found it pretty interesting, but kind of like Carrie Fisher's book, it was just like, I felt like I was hearing the same story over and over and over again, and but it was like different situations, but it was really, really similar because if any of you know about Debbie Reynolds' life, she got screwed over a lot by all of her ex-husbands. So it's kind of like, oh, I've kind of heard this story before, and so it just felt very repetitive. And once it was like past all that of her like talking about her getting screwed over all the time, the book got a lot more interesting, and it was just really cool to see an insight to her life. So that's why I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. If you love Debbie Reynolds, I would definitely recommend that you pick it up. The next 2 books that I finished in the month of April were The Lost Hero and The Son of Neptune, both by Rick Riordan. I'm so happy I started this series. I rated both of these books 5 out of 5 stars. Definitely loved them more than the Percy Jackson series. I was kind of expecting it to go along, you know how like certain authors have a specific formula that they follow when they're writing a book and they kind of just stick to it because they know it works. Well, I was kind of nervous with that with Rick, kind of the way he was writing, but as soon as I got into the Heroes of Olympus like series, so good. So the first 2, 5 out of 5 stars, and if you haven't guessed, let's get into May because I probably finished the series. The first book that I finished in the month of May was The Mark of Athena by Rick Riordan, also 5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was great. If you haven't read it, go and read it. It's definitely better than Percy Jackson, so yeah, that's why I was like I was nervous, like I said. So if you're nervous because you read Percy Jackson, it wasn't your favorite, read The Heroes of Olympus. It's so much better, I promise you. The next book that I finished in the month of May was The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe by C.S. Lewis. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. Oh, hello, son. I really did enjoy this book. I thought it was really whimsical. I love that it gave a lot more backstory than if watching the movie. I have not seen the entire movie of Narnia, but I thought that this was really well done, and it gave a really great backstory and a good setup for the series, so I'll probably pick up the rest of these books. The next book, and you will not be shocked to find out, I can't remember the author of this book, but that book is The False Prince. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I actually ended up listening to this with my spouse on the way home from our trip to Florida. It was so good. I did not see that ending coming. It definitely was a big twist. I mean, like I started to see it coming a little bit sooner than like they announced it, but still all the same, like it was really cool. I liked it. 4 out of 5 stars. I would have rated it a 5 if that surprise came unexpected, but it didn't, so I can't give it a full 5 stars. But it was really good. Go check it out. I think it's a series. I'm not sure. If it is, I will put it a text bar right here if it is or not. But yeah, it was really good. Go pick it up. 4 out of 5 stars. Last 2 books that I read in the month of May, if you can only guess, it was The House of Hades and Blood of Olympus by Rick Riordan. So good. Oh my god. 5 out of 5 stars to both of them. So great. I enjoyed it. Read the series. I feel like he wrapped it up really, really well, and yeah, it was a great series. Can't say enough good things about it, but yeah, it was really awesome. So go check it out if you haven't. I'm probably one of the last people who has read it, so I feel like I'm talking to a bunch of people who are like, yeah, we already know. Alright guys, so that is it for my March, May, and April, set that out of order, wrap up. 3 months, 20 books. I'm ready to be back on monthly wrap-ups. I actually might be trying mid-month wrap-ups because if I'm reading a decent amount of books, I kind of want to take the time to talk about them in my wrap-ups. So we're going to play with that for the next couple of months, see how it goes. If there's any of these books that you want a full review on or a little bit more in depth of how I felt about it, leave them in the comments below and I will make a video just for you to let you know how I feel about that specific book. That is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, give it a big thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Keep reading, keep smiling. Bye guys.